Okay, next on board meetings. This portion of the agenda is on, I think, an address or a necessary communication that has to take place concerning the taping of our town board meetings. On Monday, November 1st, prior to the election and prior to the October monthly meeting disc being submitted to the town or being submitted to charter for airing as a gavel to gavel public representation, as has been reviewed and agreed twice by this body with Otis Mountain Press or Margaret Bartley. It was clear and understood and has worked well up to that point that the understanding was there could never be a snippet or a portion that's pulled apart. It had to be gavel to gavel, because in the public interest, that is the fair record of representation. It was discovered by me on YouTube under Otis Mountain Press, an edited portion of our October meeting. It pulled a portion out, and I'm not really sure why, that seemed to segregate out a portion of the meeting pertaining to firewood and in an ongoing discussion concerning the comptroller's office. The YouTube initiated by Mr. Martin in that portion of the meeting asking me a question about firewood. I needed to bring it to the board's attention and to Ms. Bartley's attention, because I believe, that's me personally, that it's a clear violation of what we have understood and agreed to between this body and the person who has agreed in the responsibility for the public recording of our meeting. I think that's a compromise. I've been trying to consider personally what the possible motivation would be. I could only conclude that it had to have something to do with the upcoming election and the possible negative representation of the two members of this board that were running in that election. I may be reading into this, but I knew I had to bring this to the board's attention for what it was. Simply, without any intent one way or the other, simply a violation of what I believe to be an agreement between this board and Otis Mountain Press. I bring that up for either one of two things. We either conclude the agreement that we have with the taping in response to this compromise of the agreement, or we revisit and somehow reinstitute a better monitoring of the security of this public record. Now, I would offer Ms. Bartley the floor, because I may be reading into this, and and that's why I would do this. I just can't believe that there could be an explanation or a reason that would not conclude that that agreement has been compromised. So I would give you the opportunity to offer an explanation how that does not compromise our relationship.
Okay. My first comment is that I'm surprised that this would be construed as an election thing, because that never occurred to me since I'm not even on the tape. I think it's a true representation of your meeting, which is exactly what happened. There's no editing, there's no, you know, dubbing in or anything. I have seen many other towns that are broadcast, other New York towns. Obviously, they're videotaped. Obviously, there's a limited portion that's allowed to go on the public access, which is the internet. I didn't, personally, I didn't see anything, I don't see any problem with this. YouTube is part of our normal media, it's part of the media now. It's exactly what goes on here. I know a lot of people cannot see, they don't get Charter TV, and they can't see what goes on because we have no other way. One of the problems, and we never actually came up with a written agreement, is in many towns, the town is responsible for taping the meetings and broadcasting them. I know in the town of Mariah, it's done that way. In the town of Chesterfield, it has always been the responsibility, the cost, the duty of the town to keep the public informed of what's going on. That has not happened in this town. I have taken it upon myself, financially, my time, my equipment, to do it. It's all my equipment, it's my financial contribution to keeping the public informed. I feel that it is the public. There was no misrepresentation about what goes on. It's what you all say. The whole thing goes on. Charter TV, that's the agreement we came to with Charter. The internet is wide open. Anybody can put anything. There was no mistruth of what goes out onto the internet. If you all want to take over filming your meetings, gavel to gavel, and making them available to the public, that'd be great. I still intend to come to the meetings. I am bearing the cost because it's not a cost you all want to assume. I feel it's important enough that everybody using any media possible know what happens in their town by their elected officials. You shouldn't say or do anything that you're not willing to do in public on the street. The fact that YouTube only allows you like a 10-minute clip, and I think that the issue of the firewood was very important to the public. I happen to disagree with some of the things that were said, but I wasn't going to get on there and make a pronouncement. I figured let the people see what you say, see what you do as you do it. Most people can't get here. The internet is nothing more than the Press Republican, Denton Publications, Charter TV, satellite TV. It's just another medium, and that's all it is. I make no interpretation. I let the people see exactly what it is. And I'll continue doing it as long as it needs to be done.
Okay. No, I appreciate that, but if you would.
Before you leave, first of all, let me ask you, do you want to have a give and take on this issue, or would you just rather leave it at that? I mean, I don't want to
I don't have any problem.
Normally, when we have people give us information, we listen to it and we digest it and everything. So I'm willing to do that, but I'm also willing to go beyond this in this case and have a give and take on this, if you'd like to.
Well, I would not mind, and when you mentioned that the agreement we came to, the first time I taped, and I did not do it gavel to gavel because of disruptions, and I was new at this. The first time I'd ever videotaped anything. And then since then I have videotaped it gavel to gavel, regardless of how long it goes. And the people see it gavel to gavel. Though I did get a few calls the other day when the cable TV channel, I don't know, something glitched and it's up on their end, and I got a call from somebody, what happened to the sound? And I went, I don't know, I taped sound, and all of a sudden it came back on. Part of the problem with Charter is they're still using VHS tapes, which in this day and age are already obsolete.